How you guys doing? Welcome back to Conversations Over Chess. The individual that's stopping by the show today is somebody who I actually look up to from afar. He's a unique individual, a man of many traits, and without further ado, please welcome Dr. Jomah Watson.
What's going
Welcome to
on,
the
man?
show. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, bro. Can't complain, man. It's
Okay.
Friday.
Yeah, I was going to say Friday night. I was going to say, how was work today?
Work was cool,
Yeah.
man. When you love what you do, have a passion for it.
Yeah.
Everything's all good.
No, for sure. I was going to say, I've want to give you your flowers at the beginning of this. I've known you for quite some time from afar, never really too personal. Went to the same university, Delaware
Yes, sir.
State. And I will say, sadly to admit, he did crack my tail in basketball while he was there. So
Hey,
I'll give him his flowers on camera as a defender. You're not supposed to
Yeah,
do that, but he's one of those.
good times.
I want to
Man.
start back at the beginning.
Okay.
I just introduced you as Dr. Jomah Watson,
Right.
but before you had to set out to achieve that goal, I want to go back to your upbringing.
Okay.
Where are you from originally? What was your upbringing like? Was it a two-parent household? Things like that. I want to start there first.
All right, cool. So I'm the youngest child.
Okay. Of how many?
4 brothers and 3 sisters.
Okay.
Yeah. So growing up, of course, they say the youngest gets spoiled.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I necessarily got spoiled, but kind of got spoiled a little bit.
I'm the youngest too.
Growing up with brothers, just playing sports in general, like my brothers used to try to make me tough. So
Yeah.
I just grew up tough, especially my neighborhood. My first neighborhood that I lived in Washington, D.C., but I was younger. We was in Northeast, so I was very young back then.
Okay.
My grandfather, we used to all live with my grandfather, but not all my brothers and sisters. It was only like 2 of us.
Okay.
Which made me 3. But growing up in D.C., being younger, it was more like a thing of coming to the country for my parents, right? They came in as diplomats, actually.
Okay.
My grandfather used to work for the White House that was actually in their country.
Hey.
He did security for the president.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting story how my mom met my dad, because my mom, after school, she used to go to my dad's job.
Yeah.
So my dad worked there. And my dad, that's how him and my mom met. My grandfather got cool with my dad,
Right.
So my grandfather brought my mom over to the country and eventually ended up sending back for my father.
Okay.
This is way before I came.
And you say the country, is that meaning like down south country, or we're saying across the pond?
So country as in Africa, Liberia.
All right.
Yeah, Liberia in Africa. So they're both from Monrovia, Liberia. I lost my father about 2016.
Okay, sorry to hear that.
So but they definitely have an interesting story, especially coming here as diplomats. And then also my parents not coming here to the country as citizens and then end up getting their citizenship my senior year when I was in high school.
Okay.
But going back to my story growing up, I grew up in multiple apartments, right?
Yeah.
So apartments with maybe 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, it didn't matter. We made it happen. Like my parents, the goal was just to make sure that they provided for us whatever they couldn't get, right? So, growing up as a kid, you ain't really pay attention to nothing. You just knew as long as you eat, you can go outside and play with your friends, go to school, stuff like that.
Definitely.
And then I think when I started like noticing little things like clothes and shoes and stuff, maybe I was like in the 2nd to 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at like how my friends dress and my parents dress. But I was always involved in sports. Sports was what kind of like kept me out of trouble.
And who introduced you to sports?
I had a few father figures that was in the neighborhood, that used to take their sons to the Boys and Girls Club. So I grew up, now you call it the Y, something like that.
Yeah,
but we grew up with a Boys and Girls Club in the back of my neighborhood.
Okay.
My neighborhood wasn't a Section 8 neighborhood, but my first neighborhood was more of a neighborhood of international people. I'm not going to say poverty, but people that actually had to figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. It was nothing given.
We basically had everything in common because we ain't had much, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like our parents work hard, families work hard, and all we knew was that we only had each other, right?
Yeah.
So we went outside the neighborhood. Everybody knew everybody. Like if it was crime, we didn't really know. We was kids at the time and stuff. And we'll see stuff on the news. We'll see the cops and stuff, but it was normal growing up.
Yeah.
Like seeing people going to jail. It was normal seeing the cops coming to our door knocking, have you seen this person and stuff like that. So like I said, it wasn't nothing that we really looked at. It was like we were scared to be in the neighborhood. We'd go outside, especially like being a kid in the summertime. We'll go outside. It was like a routine, man. We go outside, we go to the park.
Yeah.
When we go to the park, that's going to play basketball. My neighborhood had like 3 basketball courts, different areas,
different areas,
Huge apartment complex. Like maybe maybe over like 40 to 50 buildings in that neighborhood.
So from a kid who's from New York, upstate New York,
Yeah.
spent a little time in the city, are we saying like this is like row houses? Because I know this is the DMV area. Is this like a projects building? Like what? Paint the picture for us.
Where we went to the babysitter was more of a project.
Okay.
Yeah. The babysitter house was it's called Surgeon Quarters.
Okay.
It's in DC, not too far from here, down the street. But my apartment complex wasn't row houses. It was like a bunch of apartment buildings.
Okay.
Huge like apartment complex. And even outside the apartment complex, it was another even larger complex.
Okay.
And growing up then, it was like you had a lot of like Africans, a lot of people that was Hispanic, a lot of people that's in Indian. So like huge in the international
presence.
Community. Yeah, definitely. So with that being said, I remember growing up, and then when I got a little bit older, I think I got in like the second grade, and what ended up happening was like the transition of who was taking over the neighborhood and just the area, right?
Yeah.
So there was kind of like damn near like a Hispanic and Black war.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Which caused us to leave the neighborhood. Something like drastic happened.
Yeah.
You know, that was maybe like my first time actually seeing some stuff like brutally go down in front of me, you know, and I was a kid. And I remember, you know, the cops and stuff came knocking on the door, asking, have we seen anything? And it was just like, I was traumatized, and I never forget what I saw at the park at the basketball court.
If you don't mind me asking, and we don't have to talk about it and go too deep, what exactly did you see at that age?
Well, so basically I was at the basketball court. I was at the park. The park was like right next to the basketball court, and I know me and my friends, we was playing basketball on the monkey bars, you know, because the old heads, they was playing on the courts, right? So
you had to wait your time.
We had to wait our time, right? So as we playing, you know, we just playing. It's kind of like dusk, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, evening, and we just see like something like it was like a limo or something pulled up, you know what I mean? Like, but as kids, you like, dang, it's a limousine, right? You know what I'm saying? So you don't think nothing of it, but we still playing. And then like a few minutes later, all we hear is pop, 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 pop. Like we ain't even run, you know what I'm saying? Because it's our neighborhood, like we just like, I guess we was like fearless, but when it happened, we like knew what it was. It was gunshots. Like we knew it was gunshots, but we didn't know who it was. We didn't know what happened. And meanwhile, I remember some of my brother friends was at the court. It just so happened that my brothers wasn't at the court. You know what I'm saying? But my brother friends was at the court. I knew like some of the dudes at the court. They knew me as my little brother. They used to call me by his name, but they called me Lil Moses. You know what I'm saying?
Little Moses. Okay.
So yeah, that happened. And I feel like less than 3 months, you know, my parents moved out of there. So, you know, it got real in the neighborhood. And then from that point on, that neighborhood just been going down. Like
taking it back a little bit, how much has your parents, because you just mentioned an incident happened, they took you out of that incident, how much has their parents played a pivotal role in you becoming the man that you are today, right? Because it seems like with you mentioning that you played in sports already, right? You've always been active in that. You got good at basketball, played college football, things of that nature. How much has your parents put, like keeping you or sheltering you, quote unquote, in a way from all of the BS of the world has helped you become who you are today?
Well, what I could say, I grew up with like strict parents. I mean, my mom wasn't as strict as my dad. My dad, he ain't play. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to get butt whoopings all the time, man. I used to get in trouble in school, but I never got in trouble for like crazy stuff, right? I just got in trouble for like, I guess stuff that kids do and don't think about it until after the fact or whatever. But one thing about me is what I tell my students, I always show respect to my teachers and the people above me, right?
Definitely.
So that's kind of like what got me through. But with my parents, I know what they wanted from me was they just wanted me to have an opportunity to have a lot of things that they never had, right? So even playing sports wise, like my parents didn't really come to none of my games when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? I remember times I used to cry and I used to win the game and my parents wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? All my other friends celebrating with their parents. I kind of grew up with.
Did they at least make it to senior night? Sorry to
Yeah, they did. Yeah, high school. Yeah, they did. And they made it to a few games as I got older. You know what I'm saying? But like when I was younger, I didn't really understand. They had to work. And if they didn't work, they wouldn't be able to provide certain things for me and my brothers and sisters if they never went to work. You know what I mean? But definitely played a very important role, especially my father, man. Like now I understand why my dad was on me so hard. He just wanted me to be great. You know what I'm saying? And I think he seen something in me that he knew that what I was going to do, right? And I didn't know. but he knew something that I didn't know.
that you didn't
Yeah.
see. One thing that I want to ask is because I grew up with, I never knew my father.
Okay.
My mom died when I was 13, but a friend of the family who's not blood related because my mom was the only child, but a woman that I called my aunt, who I really should be calling my mom to this day, she raised me with her husband. And when I was living with them, it was just tough love, you can call it essentially.
Right.
And I ran away from that tough love.
Okay.
And it's something until after he passed away later on from cancer that I was like, dang, Uncle Will just really want what was best for me. Same thing was.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to hear that because cancer is a mother lover.
Right.
But when those lessons, obviously it's when you're young you can't do much, but as you got older, did you run away from that tough love or did you stay in it? Like, how did you deal with that tough love? Because that's something that I realized looking back.
Yeah.
I ran away because I lived on campus in high school away from my uncle, and then I went away to college, and then at that point I was just grown, couldn't tell me nothing, right? So when you were lifing, right, and growing up and becoming a man, was it because I was coming from a different country, it don't matter your parents,
Right.
you know, it's a different feeling, right?
Right.
Than the culture in America. But did you run away from that tough love or did you run towards it? How did you deal with that tough love?
Well, I wouldn't say I ran away from it. I think I kind of like tried to understand where he was coming from, but I still couldn't see it. You know, I was a kid. Like, I mean, I think, and especially like one specific incident that happened, like my dad was big on going to church, right? And I was like, I think I was forced to go to church as a kid with my dad. My dad, that's just what he used to tell me. We going to church, right? And I used to have AAU on Sundays.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, he good, let him go to his game. My dad was like, nah, we going to church.
Yeah.
And I mean, being one of the top players on the team, if I don't go to the game and we'll make it to Sunday,
we
gonna lose
fact.
first round.
Pool players Friday, Saturday, championship game Sunday. What's going on?
For my team, like I'm letting my team down. But like I said, I damn near sometimes live with my coaches.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I go with my coaches on a Thursday night and stay there until Monday. I had to go to school sometimes.
Okay.
And it wasn't my parents neglecting me. It's just they had to work. They really did. So in order for me to make it to a tournament and go out of town, I had to stay with my coaches.
Okay.
Some of my coaches, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or some of my friends' parents that lived in my neighborhood that was going to the game.
Yeah, that was catching a ride with them.
Right.
Okay. All right. So it was not like you ran, but it's just like it just so happened to.
I kind of think I was still going with the flow though. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, my dad says this, and until that one day, I know I got in trouble in middle school, right? And my dad was like, nah, and I felt like my dad tried to give me a butt whooping, right?
Yeah.
And I felt like the day I became a man because my dad was like, nah. So I came home, I got in trouble. Something stupid I did. I forgot what I did, man. It was like so dumb. But I got like a long-term suspension, right? So the police officer dropped me home to school. The principal made sure I had to leave. You know what I'm saying? She was like, nah, you gotta leave.
Yeah.
Like, he can't be on this premises. And we gotta see if he even gonna come back. I think I like tripped somebody up for running, stepping on my shoes, like some little kid stuff, whatever. But anyway, the police officer dropped me home, the resource officer, and then my dad, he used to work in the nighttime. So by the time I used to go catch the bus, my dad was already asleep.
Okay.
So I come back home, it's like 10:30, 11. They already contacted my parents. They spoke to my mom. They didn't speak to my dad. He was asleep.
Yeah.
So I get home, and then my dad, he get to yelling at me and stuff like that. And he tried, spank me with a belt, right? And I was just like, no, we not doing that no more. Like, that was the day I became a man. And I don't know what got into me. And I was like, no, I ain't doing that. But anyway, I remember I ran out the house and I fake ran away from home. But at the same time, in my mind, I was like, man, I ain't ready to do this.
Yeah.
I seen people do it on TV and stuff.
That's a fact. You thought you was grown.
Look, I mean, I held off a few hours. I was just hiding outside in the tree somewhere. I ain't even gonna lie.
Did you end up getting the whooping?
Nah.
No?
He swung the belt on me. I grabbed it and I threw it on the ground.
Oh, you bucked up to him. You put the shoulders up that day. How old were you?
I was in the 8th grade.
8th grade.
I'll never forget that day.
That 14? No, that's like 13.
8th grade.
13,
that was the day I became a man. And my dad treated me different from that point on. He was like,
you want to act like, man, come play these grown bills. Right. Nah. Okay, so moving the conversation along, grown up, moved around, right? Say you moved from that neighborhood. Sports seems like it's been a very pivotal role in your life. When did you realize that you could go to college to play football and know that you were still going to be great at basketball?
All right, so in high school, I had the option to go to multiple high schools. I was pretty decent athlete around the area. I'm not gonna brag, but
It's
at
all
the
right.
same time,
You talk your mess.
at the same time, confidently, I was pretty good.
Yeah.
I could play with the best of the best in basketball and football. I grew up with a lot of great players,
Yeah.
and we used to push each other. And even from high school, I went to Largo High School in Maryland.
Okay.
The school was known for basketball, track. We was pretty good at football too when I got there. Yeah, we was pretty good. And going to high school, I had a mentor, my boy Usama. He played in the league. He got drafted, played for the Saints, played at Kent State.
Okay.
Pretty good dude. Well rounded. He was one of them dudes in high school. You get there as a freshman.
Yeah.
You want to be like him, right?
Yeah.
Top athlete. He could play sports. He got good grades, right? So I'm like, I need to get my grades up. And while I played quarterback in high school.
Okay.
I used to throw the ball to them when the colleges came.
Yeah.
So the colleges looking like, who's he?
Who's this guy?
What I'm saying?
We're recruiting him. Who's this guy?
Right. I'm already getting recruited. I'm in 9th and 10th grade, and the coaches, they coming to see other players, but they asked me to come out of class and go throw the ball. You know what I'm saying? I was undersized, but I could throw that ball.
Yeah.
I could throw the ball. And they seen some of my film. But that's when it was getting real, because I am the first person in my family ever to go to college.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm the first person ever to go to college.
I did not know that.
So, I really heard about college. My brother was about to go to college. He ended up going to the Navy. My brother is 5 years right over me.
Okay.
I looked up to him too. That was like my bro. We still tight. Me and him live 3 doors down from each other.
Okay.
Yeah. But when I was thinking about it, man, it'd be kind of cool if I could go to college and play football, because I was a big Miami fan. I used to watch Florida State.
I love college football.
USC, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, dang, I want to play on TV one day, because I played on TV and stuff when I was in high school.
Yeah.
We had Friday night games. Our games used to be big. But anyway, sophomore year come, I start getting these letters. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not getting no letters. Oh, and back then, I didn't even know the difference between PWI, HBCU.
Yeah.
I didn't know none of that. I just thought college was college, right? And then what I seen on TV, Different World or different TV shows.
Yeah, Living in Color.
I just seen people going to college, and it's just a bunch of people that look alike going to college.
Yeah.
But yeah, sophomore year, I started getting these letters, right? And I remember I had a Jordan box.
Okay.
I just used to put my letters in there when I got them in my locker at school. My coach used to call me and tell me come see him after lunch. And when he called me, every time he called me, I knew he had some letters.
Yeah.
So my coach Crawford used to call me and be like, Jomah, come see me, and I go see him, and it'd be some letters. You got Kent State, got UConn, Boston College. I'm getting these big schools. Yeah. And I remember the school called Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt, right? Yeah.
So I didn't really even know where these schools was at. Like I said, I'd never been introduced to college. I don't know nobody to go to college, none of that. So I remember getting a Vanderbilt letter, and coach nah, don't worry about that one. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't understand what you're talking about, because it's an engineering school. Now I know about college. Yeah. Engineering school. You need a certain GPA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm just skating by, man. I'm getting 2.5, 2.7, sometimes 2.3, stuff like that. And I thought that was good enough, because I was eligible enough to play.
Yep, kept you on the playing field.
I wasn't failing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, same thing with me. Yeah.
Right. And come to find out, by the time it came to my senior year, and I got all these letters from a bunch of colleges, and I still got pictures of the letters too. That's the crazy part. But some of these colleges slowly start, reaching out to me, because once they find out, they be like, you took your ACT or your SAT. I don't even think you got to take the ACT no more. Yeah. But I'm like, yeah, when I took it, I ain't do so good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I promise you, if I took the ACT and I score high, or I took the SAT, we maybe wouldn't even have been having this conversation. Yeah. Which is cool, because in the long term, everything worked out for me, right? I got to meet you. You got to
definitely
meet me.
For sure.
I'm blessed to be in a situation right now that I'm happy in what I do.
That's good.
I get to help out other people that look like me, that think like me, that want to be like me. Humbly, because somebody did it for me. So it's like my turn to pass the torch.
Each one teach one. That's literally what this is about right here. So,
right. Yeah. So long term, in the short term, I ended up was about to go to Bowie State.
Okay.
Oh no! First it started with Central. I had a girl I was dating
at the time
in high school. She ended up going to North Carolina Central. So I'm thinking I want to go to North Carolina Central. And she ended up playing tennis, right?
All right.
So I'm like, all right, I'm about to go to Central. Meanwhile, Central was D2. Yeah. But they was real good, real good.
Okay.
Them in Bowie State. So now most of the athletes from my high school team, they about to go to Bowie State.
Yeah.
So now I get a change of thought. I'm like, I didn't go to school when I graduated the first semester. So I'm about to go to Bowie State. You know what I'm saying? Talk to the coaches up there.
Yeah.
I had to go to a community college, and then I
Okay.
was going to transfer in there. Then my cousins ended up going to Delaware State.
Yeah.
And when they went on their visit, I ended up going on a visit.
Okay.
Come to find out my uncle worked there. So my
Yeah.
uncle was like, yeah, I mean, if you're trying to get in here, boom, you know, I'm
Make something
going to take
happen.
you to meet some people because Dale State
Yeah.
actually recruited me.
Okay.
So they recruited me in high school. But like I said, I didn't know about recruiting and all this
Yeah.
other stuff. I just used to talk to the coaches and I'd be like, yeah, I'm interested. I guess I was interested in every school because they all seem like they was going to college, right?
Yeah, it's like as long as I'm going and you come
Right.
here.
And I took some visits, you know what I'm saying? I seen some stuff on my visits.
Yeah.
I got
You got
offered a few
that?
things. I got offered a few things by
Got that
players.
Louisville visit?
Nah, I didn't get the Louisville visit. I got offered a few things, you know, people want to
Yeah.
give T-shirts and tickets to games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was just excited to be there just for the opportunity because,
Definitely.
you know, coming from where I came from, like, I didn't think you can go do that. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
So even going to Dale State was huge for me because, like I said, I'm the first generation person in my family ever to go to college, right? So I'm already thinking like, okay, boom, I made it to college. But you know what my biggest thing was? When I went to college, I got my own car, my own apartment.
Oh yeah, you messed up already.
So
you was outside.
Yeah, but I ain't tell you about the story about me going to college, right?
Yeah.
So going to Dale State, man, I got the craziest story. So, all right, meanwhile, I'm supposed to go to Dale State. I graduated out of high school. You're supposed to go to school right out of high school. I ended up staying home for a year. That's when I ended up doing a community college thing.
Okay.
And most miserable time of my life because I felt like I was taking classes for stuff that I didn't even take a class for.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's what college is, a scam at this point.
So I'm doing like these math classes to get into a math class.
Okay.
So I'm taking a pre-class that don't count for college credits. We paying for, right?
Yeah.
Worst part was my parents paid half and I had to pay the other half.
Okay.
They said, we're going to start you off first semester, second semester, you got to pay for it. So paid for it. Meanwhile, I went on a visit to Dale State. So I already seen what Dale State looked like.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, man, once I went up there, I'm like,
I gotta
go there.
Gotta get back.
You know what I'm saying? After summertime.
Yeah.
In that same summertime, so I wasn't eligible to play, right? I ain't had no scholarship, no money. So my parents told me, try the band out. You know what I'm saying? This is what a lot of people don't know about me, right? So I went to band camp for 2 days. I barely lasted for 2 days, man. So
what instrument?
So I was playing the drums. I was playing, but they put me on the cymbals.
Okay.
Yeah, so look, big respect to the band, man. Look, if you don't know, hey, people that's in the band, they work. It's a real thing, man. The people in the band, big respect to them. I gotta give shouts out to HBCU bands, all the bands, because the people that's in the band, man, they really putting that work.
I know it's not easy because I can't do it, right? Because if it was easy, everybody could do it. So I'm like, man,
they be out there long in the hot sun, marching, getting the formations together.
It's crazy.
Even the band directors to section leaders, man, it's a real deal.
Dang, so you're trying to get a scholarship from band to get to Dale State.
I was getting offered a scholarship. I would have got a scholarship on the spot if I made it through band camp. Right?
Yeah, man.
So day one, boom, go to band camp. It was miserable. I just hated it, man. It just wasn't me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I tried it for my parents. My parents told me to try it. And I was like, at least I'm going to try it, right?
Yeah.
Try to keep a positive attitude. It just wasn't me, man. It wasn't me. Even from going to eating the calf with my section, man, I went and ate by myself. They was bothering me. I'm like, leave me alone. I'm not trying to listen to nothing y'all saying.
I did not know
I'm seeing my friends from around the way that's on the football team. I'm going to sit with them, talk to them, and I'm getting told I can't talk to them. I was like, man,
no fraternizing. They band camp like the military.
Oh yeah. I was just like, nah,
eating square meals and stuff.
So sure enough, I ended up catching that bus. I caught that bus from Dover, caught it to Wilmington. Day 2, my dad woke up from coming from work, and I was in that house, and he looked me in my face. He was just like, son, well, you gotta get a job, and if you want to go back, you gotta work, and you can work your way back. Sure enough, I was focused. I was locked in. Like I said, did the community college thing, and then I ended up going back to Dale State.
You did 2 years fully at community college, or just 1 year? Just 1 year.
Yeah, I did 1 year.
Okay.
Did 1 year. Did about 6 credits each semester.
Okay.
And it was like, it was a difference in college. I mean, high school. It was a difference. You know what I'm saying? I had to really apply myself. My professors wasn't like, they wasn't trying to hear it. I was no longer a star. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't in high school. I wasn't a man. I was just a regular student, which was cool, but at the same time, it was a humbling experience.
Yeah, similar story to mine. I got kicked out a week before graduation. I had It's just a few like Stony Brooks, Pace.
Yeah.
I had went to a visit at University of Buffalo only because the public school I went to prior had a big time player go up to UConn, play there all 4 years, and then one of the running backs of my like generation and era, he was getting recruited from Syracuse.
Nice.
So similar story. I went to a private school in 10th to 12th. My public school was huge, but I tell people all the time the conversation about college switched when I switched schools.
Okay.
Public school was, are you going to college? And then private school was, which college are you going
Right.
to? So just that simple dynamic affected and helped me in my life and my journey.
Okay.
Yeah, I got kicked out a week before graduation because I lived on campus and it was a co-ed. I got caught in my girlfriend's room at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Typical.
Yeah. The Poom Poom's always been my downfall.
Okay.
But that set me on the path of going out to Kansas. I played junior college football out there 2 years, and then after that, took a semester off and ended up going to Del State. Similar thing, whereas the principal of my high school got me out to the JUCO in Kansas.
Okay.
His brother used to know people at Del State, which is how I ended up down at Del State.
Okay.
And oddly enough, I didn't know anything about like HBCU. So I'm like, I just know Delaware State. That's it. I'm going to that school. When I got there, that's when I was like, oh, this is a whole different world down here.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So with you being the first person going to college, and obviously I've introduced you as Dr. Jomah Watson, you have graduated and obtained the highest designation in all the land, right? Which is, as a Black individual, a great accomplishment. You just mentioned previously 2.3s, 2.5s, barely getting by just in order to stay eligible.
Yeah.
When did that become something viable for you saying that, hey, I do want this? And what was the reason why?
I think by the time I got to college, right, it wasn't just about just barely making the cut of keeping the grades. Because, I've been on academic probation when I was in undergrad. And I think when I got on academic probation, my first semester in college at Del State,
your parents would tear you apart, boy.
You know, it was kind of like, all right, this is reality. I can't go back to where I just came back from. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to go back home and be seeing people doing the same things that they did, or some people that's, ended up in jail, some people that just ended up doing drugs and just not really doing much. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the person to judge. I'm no better than nobody else. But at the same time, I just wanted something better for myself.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, I had a few people tell me I was special, like, you know what I mean? And I always thought I was special in my mind, but I just never knew what I was going to do. My friends, they joke around. They call me the jack of all trades. I kind of like to do everything. Yeah. I think the only thing I can't do maybe is sing and dance. Like, outside of that, if you give it to me, it's in my hands, I'll figure it out. Like, I play music, sports. I feel like I could draw. I feel like I could act. I could do everything.
Definitely.
And I've been around and been in so many rooms, just blessed to have the opportunity to be around certain things based off of people I know. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember last year I had a commercial during the Super Bowl that I got to do it because of my job. Like, it was a bunch of things that I've been around. I just look back and I be like, dang, just being in the right place at the right time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So everything is timing. But going back to that, with being in college when I first got there and dealing with my GPA, I figured either I'm a be successful and work to be better. Because another thing too about college was I had this mindset that I'm never going to give my professors a free lunch. So I'm never going to give them free money, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go to class and I ain't saying I'm going to pay attention to every single word. Yeah. But best believe I went to class. Definitely. One thing about me is I went to class. Okay. I ain't sitting in front all the time until my coaches start making this, but I definitely went to all my classes. Okay. And just having that mindset was like, I'm gonna go there. And I had another mentor, we had Dr. Steele. Okay. So with Dr. Steele, he used to always say, like, when you get there, like, learn something. You know what I'm saying? Don't leave with nothing. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of doing it if you ain't gonna do it or put an effort in doing it? You're just wasting time.
That's something my uncle always says, do it to the best of your ability.
Right.
Yeah. Do it right the first time as well.
Yeah. So with that, I was just like, man, not only did I want to be not only did I want to graduate, but I also wanted to leave with something. When I left Del State, I was going to leave one of the people up top. Like, if we go down to history, and I ain't bragging, like, I've been around for a long time in Del State, right? I done seen almost, we talking about classes from 2005 to 2020 coming in and out. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when you talk about notable alum, people, they recognize me as notable alum. I had the opportunity to go back and speak at commencement at one of the grad programs, master programs. I get invited back for like a lot of alum activity. People, they still send me stuff in the mail, sweatsuits, t-shirts, and stuff like that. And it just make me feel good and proud about my university, because at the same time, don't forget, I am 3-time alum.
Yeah,
3-time
this is true. This is
I
true.
got my undergrad, got my master's there, got my doctorate there. But everybody that know me, I'm big. I'm always arguing about Dale State. You can't tell me nothing about Dale State. But it also molded us as young, African American men, and the people we was around. Like, we push each other to be great. Right now that I see you a few years later. And I remember when you came in there as the kid.
The hot-headed young man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, from New York. But the reason why we connected was because I seen myself in you a few years before, right?
Definitely.
And I could see, like, man, he all right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I was just that person about a few years ago. But little do he know, he got some big stuff ahead of him. You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff coming. He just don't know it yet. And we all are in this room for a reason. And just something simple as a basketball brought us together.
For sure.
To look out for one another. Because we know, at Dale State, people used to hoop. We be competitive on the court, but when we see each other, it's love.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? See each other out of town. First time I seen you in DC. It felt like the first day I seen you in the gym.
I was like, man, what's going on?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
no, for sure. I was gonna say, I never forget, and was probably my senior year of high school. I always wanted to be a mechanical engineer. And I'll never forget this one teacher. I wish I could remember her name, but she had told me something along the lines of where, like, you just wouldn't make it in that, right? And I'll never forget that. So along your journey to get the doctorate, has anybody been that person in your life to say you won't be able to get that?
Man, you know how many people looked me in my face and told me that? Like, like, if I just sat there, I could make a list. People told me I wasn't gonna be this, or I just play sports. I'm just good in that. I'm never gonna be nothing. I'm not going to college. I even had coaches that told me I wasn't going to college. Look me in my face, and they see me now, and I'm not saying I care about money, but I'm making more money than them, or I'm in a better opportunity than them. And at the same time, if I see them, I'm just gonna tell them thank you, because it just pushed me to be a better person. You know what I'm saying? There's no hate, and maybe I don't know what they did see, that it wasn't moving the way they wanted to move, but at the same time, especially in high school, man, I went to a rough high school. You know what I'm saying? And I know you're not from here, but I went to a rough high school. Like
Largo, I gotta do my research.
Yeah, I went to, especially at the time when I was in school, people used to fight all the time. Man, like, people used to get shot in our school. People used to get stabbed in our school. We used to have a lot of go-go parties in there. Like, people used to seriously get, man, like, if I go to my high school from the time 9th grade to maybe like my senior year, I might have lost like 15 to 20 people. You know what I'm saying? That was like actually people I knew. I'm talking about, like, not only to just like violence at the school, but outside the school. Like, man, people was involved in some serious stuff, man.
That's crazy. I often think about people that, like, with me being 27, just making it this far, the amount of people that are like my age and younger that didn't make it, it always makes me feel away, because I'm like, man, like, I'm no better, I'm no different. Like, why was I put in this position and able to be here and make it to this age? So that's something I often think about, like, daily. Crazy.
Definitely.
One thing that I lived was when I made it to Dale State. So I had the individual say, hey, you won't make it to be a mechanical engineer. Right now I'm about to graduate my master's in finance. Once I got to Dale State, I didn't have enough money to afford housing. I'll never forget. And Dr. Linda Murray Jackson, shout out to you, had paid $200 for me to have the deposit to get housing. And I'll never forget that. Who was that individual for you that said, hey, look, I'm going to be this blessing for you today? And what was the situation?
So, shout out to Matt Fortune. That was like my biggest savior, man. Matt Fortune, huge shout out to him. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have graduated. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where I would have been right now, and that all started with me just going to the game room, right? So me and my cousin, he went to Dale State with me. Me and him was a duel. So when you see me, you see him. Like, everybody, they be like, oh, they go to cousins, right? But I ain't gonna talk about like how it was when we was in college, but at the same time, we used to go to the game room to gamble, right? That's when we used to make our extra money.
He said, look, I'm hungry. What's up? What
we
you
used
got?
To go in there, play ping pong. We used to go in there, bowl, and play pool. We used to just gamble in there, right? And Matt Fortune one day, he came up to us. He's like, hey, y'all DC boys, y'all come over here. You know, it don't matter where you was from. If you was from like PG County or DC, they just recognize you. You know,
same thing. New York, New York. Come on, I'm like, bro, I'm from upstate. It don't matter. New York, like, come on.
I'm from Maryland. But what's crazy is that he used to work at my high school.
Oh wow!
So we had a conversation. My old coach, Coach Wade, went to Syracuse, played football there.
Okay.
Good dude, man. He's also a mega man. But he knew my coach after we had conversations, and so he really kind of like got to know me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But one day I came in there, he wasn't having it. He seen me and my crew coming in. We came in there like 20 deep.
Yeah.
He like, hey, come in. He called me over there. He's like, man. He said, you want a job? I was like, man, I already had a job, right? And he was like, you want a job? He's like, I know you're supposed to be playing football, but you're not playing right now. So look, man, you can't come in here and gambling.
Yeah.
He seen like we had a bunch of money, stuff like that. He didn't know what he was doing.
He said, who you like, robbed up in here?
Yeah, he just like, look, man, y'all not going to be doing that up in here. But I got a job for you.
Okay.
And I was just like, man, I don't need this job. I can make the fast money.
Facts.
Playing ping pong, bowling, betting on shots.
Said 10 minutes, like I'm in and out.
Yeah, but then again, like he seen something in me.
Yeah.
He really did. You know what I'm saying? So from that point on, he became like my mentor on campus.
Okay.
He hooked me up with a job. He used to take me to conferences. He got me involved in different sports conferences, associations and stuff like that. He used to show me off like I was his son. You know what I'm saying? And he just wanted to help me get polished.
Yeah.
Right? He never judged me. But one thing he wanted to do was he wanted me to be in the room and be comfortable.
Yeah.
Be able to talk just like the next man in the room. Right?
Yeah.
And when I slowly started learning that and trying to understand that, not that he was being racist or anything. It was more that he was just like, and he wasn't being like, he wasn't judging me or nothing. He was just like, he wanted me to be sharp, right? He seen something in me. So I slowly started catching on and stuff. I started going to these conferences, and sure enough, I started meeting people at these different colleges, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, dang, I kind of like, I want to do what he do when I graduate. You know what I'm saying? Because originally I went to school, I was supposed to be a pilot.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad, he flew planes. He didn't have enough money to finish pilot school, you know, it had me and stuff like that. But I flew in planes with my dad before. He never finished his hours, his coursework. But after that, I was doing mass comm, you know what I'm saying? I want to be in
everybody does the cop out
and broadcasting. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to talk to people and interview athletes. And I was like, you know, I ended up doing sports management. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm business minded. I know how to make money. You know what I'm saying? I want to do something with money and related to sports.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
I ended up doing sports management. Shout out Dr. Blade, Dr. Still, definitely with some great mentors also. And Dr. Hamilton, my math tutor, he used to travel with the football team.
Okay.
He definitely made sure, kept me sharp.
So getting you that job, and that job has done what for you up to this point?
So from that point, like I said, we traveled to different conferences. Every year you had conferences that like rotate in different states, different cities and stuff.
Okay.
At those conferences, you get the opportunity to either apply for a job, apply for internships at these universities, or also apply for graduate assistantships.
All right.
You know, it just so happened that I ended up staying at Del State. So after I played football there, I was supposed to come back for another year.
Yeah.
My football coach left at my senior year.
Okay.
And, you know, through that transition, some things got messed up with my paperwork. Yeah. It is what it is. And I basically declared for the draft.
Okay.
So I came out in the lockout year. I worked out for Green Bay, the Colts, Raiders, Philly, Minnesota. You know, had some teams come down, but really my roommate, LaRon Moore, man, he was nice. You know what I'm saying?
He was that
Doozy
guy.
was that guy.
Yeah.
You feel me? Doozy, my other guy, Frank, played CFL. We had a few dudes that like really went pro. You know what I'm saying? And not saying that I wasn't good enough, but I mean, my guys was like 3-4 year starters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so sense. I felt like they had more film. They had a bigger opportunity. But sure enough, I got called during the draft. You know what I'm saying? So even though it was a lockout, they lifted the lockout.
Yeah.
Texans called me. I get an invite to go to spring camp. Supposed to fly out the next day.
Okay.
It was crazy because I missed the calls. I put my brother down as my agent, right?
Sheesh.
And he didn't answer. But we always joke about this, like, dang, what if you picked up the phone?
Yeah.
You know, my life would be different. It was always an ongoing joke. But I was with one of my teammates, Matt Spicer, And they called me during the draft. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? It's funny because we watching it for my roommate. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He in Atlanta at the training facility, so 4-2 guy, he supposed to go.
Yeah, no, for
You know, I've
sure.
been playing against him since I was in high school. Matter of fact, since Little League, you know.
Yeah.
But they called me during the draft. You know, things went the way it went. I was never one of them dudes that just like, I'm going to play football. I'm just going to do football.
Yeah.
That was never my mindset. So I was blessed to get the opportunity to come back to Dell State, graduate assistantship, work with athletics, or go to campus rec.
Okay.
So for some reason, I ended up choosing campus rec over staying in athletics because I just think with campus rec, you know, you have more of a long-term position, right?
Yeah, no, for
athletics,
sure.
that new AD come.
That new, yeah, say that a lot of turnover over there.
A lot of turnover. New coach, new people. You know what I'm saying? So I was by then I kind of knew the game. You know what I'm saying? Somewhat
been around the block a couple times,
right?
Yeah,
and having a few mentors. So that's how I ended up getting in campus recreation. Meanwhile, in campus recreation, we work with so many different departments, from housing, counseling services, admissions, enrollment, and IT, especially for like NSO, new student orientations and stuff. And then that's when I really started networking, man. I just started getting the hands on. I used to always be that person that just wanted to learn about different departments. And I was like, man, I can do this. I can get paid to do this. Like, I can do this forever. And, you know, and then more and more, I remember my dad passed away in 16. Dr. Rathi, she was the head of the education and leadership program for doctorate, right?
Okay.
So she came and talked to me, and she told me like, hey, Watson, you special, man. There's something about you, the way you react with people, you work with people, and you're going to be a leader to these young men. And I used to hear it, and I'm like, yeah, you know, it's cool. Yeah. You know, I don't mind doing it. But she used to be like, you need to enroll in this program. I'm telling you, you're going to change the world. If you do this, you're going to change the world, right? Yeah. Fast forward, 3 years later, boom, lose my dad. 2017, I ended up moving home to work at a university in DC, get the opportunity to move home, help my mom. And sure enough, I ended up going back to Dell State because I didn't stay at the school that I work at. Transferring there and start the doctoral program there, who I meet up with. I meet up with her, right? Yeah. Same person. And she's like, oh, you ready now? You know what I'm saying? So she's excited for me. Yeah. She made sure I had to do what I had to do to get in the program, turn in my paperwork, transcripts, everything. Yeah. So made it happen. 18 leading into COVID. It was rough, you know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't used to that online stuff, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, it's different.
And actually being in the program, it was only 2 African-American guys in the program. You know what I'm saying? So one guy was younger than me, and it was me. And I felt like I was an outcast, right? Yeah. I consider myself more of the inner city kid, or man that was in the program. But I was treated great, right? Yeah. So not only did I have people write my recs and wanted it for me, but like the people in the program, they refused to let me quit because I had times I was about to quit, right?
No, for sure. It's not easy to get a doctorate.
Right.
It's not easy.
So, you know, I had times, and then I had to look back, and I'm like, well, I had this person write this rec letter for me. I had this person vouch for me. Yeah. I had this person
too many people rooting for you
to try to help me with scholarships. Yeah. And I was like, man, it's bigger than me. You know what I mean? Yep. What about my friends that couldn't even have the opportunity to go to school? Exactly. Or my parents, you know what I mean? And I was like, I'm going to try this semester. Did the semester, academic probation again, right?
Oh, man.
Repeat it. Just like undergrad. So I'm like, man, I got to get it together. Because, I mean, really, I ain't really feeling it. But then people used to tell me, man, Dr. Rathi used to be like, look, this is temporary. Yeah. You'll be done before you know it.
No, for sure.
And after you get it, it ain't no going back. You going up.
Yeah.
Right. And working at a university, just thinking about like, man, you know, I call so-and-so Dr. So-and-so. Yeah. You know, and I'm not into the titles and stuff. I could care less about the titles. I tell my friends or peers or coworkers all the time, you know, call me Jomah. They like, nah, you earned it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And sometimes I feel like that, but it's just like humbling sometimes. Like
it hasn't changed who you are, but you know, hey, look, other people acknowledge that I really did put in that sweat equity.
Right. Yeah. And then like now it's growing on me, you know. Yeah. It's sometimes funny when people call me Dr. Watson because I'll be like, oh, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm still getting used to it. I had my degree for about 2.5 years now. Okay. And it just actually put me in different rooms also. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm having different conversations.
That's good.
Do I think it's beneficial? Yes, definitely. I think it's beneficial. But let's not forget, a lot of things that you get
Yeah.
it's not beneficial unless you use it.
No, for sure.
You
I
know.
always tell people, what is it called? Knowledge is power. I always say
Yeah.
I hate that because it should be knowledge applied is
Right.
power. And that's what I always tell people. Like, just having the knowledge and not doing nothing with
Right.
it doesn't do you any justice. I always tell people that all the
Right.
time.
So like, and for me having this doctorate, right? I think, yeah, do people stereotype you because
Yeah.
you have a title? Yes, it's gonna happen.
I'm sure. You're like, yeah, that's a smart guy. Little did they know you.
It's gonna happen, right? But also, you know, sometimes I go in a room because of how I look. You know, I got hair, got tattoos and stuff, and it's funny. I felt like I wanted to break the barrier for certain things, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I have certain things. And it's like, I don't care. Yeah, I don't really care what people think about me. I don't really care what you got to say about me. But you sit me down at the table like I'm sitting with you, we're going to have a real conversation.
Definitely.
I'm going to make you leave a better person, and I hope you make me leave a better person.
No, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And I've sat in a room before, and people actually told me, like, man, I didn't know you was this articulate or you was this smart. And I'm in my head kind of like, what that mean? You know you're basically going off of how I look, right?
Exactly.
Which is, that's what you think, that's what you think. But I hope you don't do that to the next person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't have done it to you.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. One thing about the conversations over chess is that the motto is every loss is a lesson. So can you just give us a time where, you know, you took a loss and you learned from that lesson, or in anything in life, any aspect, doesn't have to necessarily be friends or foe or school or whatever, just any lesson that you had to learn?
Man, I took some big losses, man. But I think one of my big losses was just one time I was in college and I got in some serious trouble, man. And the thing about me getting in trouble, I couldn't tell my parents. You know, I think I went through it by myself. And the crazy thing is, you know, it's something like I was like wanting to take to the grave with my parents. And it kind of happened because I felt like I was doing it for my family. You know what I mean? And just making sacrifices for people that you love sometimes isn't maybe the best sacrifice that you want to make, right? And sometimes you have to think about yourself and think about the long term. Will it affect you, your family, or people around you? And I think with that, man, it was just a major setback. And I had to do so many things to just make sure that I bounced back. I had to get my mental right because I was mentally down. I wasn't suicidal or anything, but I also was just disappointed in myself, right? Like, what if I told my dad what would he really thought?
No, for sure. Do you mind talking about what that instance was? Or
so I mean, I was in the car, you know, with my friends. We got pulled over, and in the car was some marijuana, right? So at the same time, when we get pulled over, the cops and stuff, they ask us a bunch of questions, and during that time, it's like basically I had to say it was mine. You know what I'm saying? I was the one driving the car, and in that, I had to. They basically took me in. They took me to the police station, took me to jail and stuff like that. But with that being said, it was an experience that I had to go through, and it was not the best experience because I was on to something bigger and better, right?
No, for sure.
I left home to be better, so it's kind of like I'm like, dang, I could have did that at home. You know what I mean? And like I went through that whole process by myself. I told one of my brothers, of course, and some of my friends, you know, they were disappointed in me. You know. It was so bad that even my supervisor, my boss, she knew, like, you know, I messed up. You know,
no,
so with that being said, luckily, over a period of time, I was able to get that off my record. I did what I had to do, did some community service, paid my restitution, stuff like that, my little fines. But in the long term, it's just like, I wouldn't want another young person to go through what I went through because that was a long process. I remember that process being from 2011 to 2020.
Sheesh, man.
Yeah, so imagine you having to go report to a probation officer, you know, you got pee in the cup. You know, it was a time I was even stuck in the house. I was on curfew, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a real deal. Like, they could have really put me in jail for like 3 to 5 years. Minimum.
It's crazy.
For what they found, you know what I'm saying? It just so happened the tags is dead. Everything went bad that day. And it was doing homecoming.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Sounds so like it was
my
long
luck. It was my luck,
years.
But you know, I was in there for a few days and had some time to think.
Had to come to Jesus meeting.
I had some time to think. You know what I'm saying. I've been in trouble before. Been around some stuff. I was just like, man, this is crazy. I'm literally in here missing homecoming. This is what I thought about because you know I was already in college. I'm literally in here missing homecoming. I could be having fun. having a good time,
Yeah.
but I'm in here because of this. Like, come on, I gotta do
No,
better.
and it's like you said already. It's like I could be doing this same nonsense back home. Why
Right,
travel X amount of miles away just to do the same nonsense
right.
that I could have gotten to back home? So I understand
Right.
that definitely for sure. Um, what is Dr. Joma up to now? What is the future? What is your next goals? Anything that you're looking forward to?
Okay. So right now, I mean, I'm still working in the university setting. My goals is one day become a vice president of student affairs.
Okay.
If I become a president of a university,
Yeah.
I do, right? I get people that tell me all the time, man, I can see you being a president of the university
Yeah.
one day because they can tell how like I deal with people.
Yeah.
I think I deal with people pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm like the easiest person to get along with. If we don't get along, then that means you really
It's
plucking
that
my
person.
nerves.
It's that person doing
I ain't
something
just go,
wrong.
but I ain't want to say it like that. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like you either being stubborn or it's something that maybe you jealous. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
No, for sure.
I'm very easygoing. I'm always looking to help people out. I just want people to have an opportunity I ain't have,
Yeah.
right? And I want people that just need that extra uplift, that extra boost to know that you gonna be all right. I've been there before. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you have nothing but opportunity out here. Like nowadays, like I call it the youngest man. There's so many things that they can do. Right?
Yeah.
They have so much options. Man, they can make money just by having a cell phone.
No,
You
for
know,
sure. Literally.
right? But yeah, my goal, man, is just to work at a HBCU and work on a cabinet level, VP level or above, and just change the system, like the way how
Yeah.
it is right now. Working in operations of a university and also overseeing campus recreation, I'm huge with retention,
Okay.
right? And if you think about it, like a lot of the things I do, I help students come back to the university.
Yeah.
I'm the fun person. When they see me, it's either great programming or it's intramurals, recreation, sport clubs, stuff like
Definitely.
that, and they love that stuff. You know what I mean? And when they see me, we can always joke around.
Yeah.
We can always
It's
have a
always
real
that level of
conversation.
respect. Yeah.
I have an open door policy. They come in here and talk to me anytime about anything, confidentiality. Um, some things, if I feel like it's above me, then
Yeah.
I give them advice to who to go talk to.
No, for
Right?
sure.
I don't have the money to pay for them to go to school. I don't got no money like that. I got my daughter. I got to get her ready when she
Yeah.
get old enough. But at the same time, I just want to make sure that I'm that resource and that guide to help them be successful.
Yeah.
If I can do that for them.
Last two questions I have for you is one thing that I made it a point of emphasis was to go back and ask Dr. MJ, why me? Did you ever get a chance to ask that gentleman why you that gave you the job and said, hey, come over here, knucklehead kid that didn't know nothing way back yonder? Did you ever get a chance to say why specifically me?
Nah, I didn't. But me and him, we're still pretty cool. We're
Yeah.
still tight. We talk here and there. He comes to my daughter's birthday parties. I go visit him. Um, and I think maybe the next time I talk to him, I might actually ask him that.
Yeah.
And I knew he cared about me like I was one of his own. When he talked to me sometimes, he looked me in my face.
Yeah.
Like he told me how proud he was when I graduated, cried and everything. Cause I was like one of his, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
kind of like he breeded me, to be great. He knew I was gonna be great and whatever. And, when I look at him and I just like, I appreciate you. And I
Yeah.
told him several times I appreciate him. He don't understand how much he meant to me in my career,
Definitely.
just in my life. But, if it wasn't for him, man, I really don't know where I would have been.
No,
like,
for sure.
honestly,
For sure. Last question is, if the world was watching you and had your full attention, what advice would you give them just to save them any heartache and pain? Just any advice at all? What would you tell them?
I think one of my biggest advice that I tell my students and people that I notice like having rough times, do something that you want to do that makes you happy. If you enjoy it, you'll have a better drive. If you do stuff because you're doing it for the money or you're doing it for the fame and you're doing it for the time,
Yeah.
like current time, that all can expire. Money come and go. The fame, you could be famous right now. 2 seconds later, you ain't famous.
Yeah.
And then the time, right now time, whatever we're doing right now, you'll be doing something different in a week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So make sure you just do something that makes you happy. Find your call and find stuff that just pushes you, like it gives you passion. When you do it with a smile. You do it with pride.
Yeah. No, for sure. Appreciate you stopping by the show, sir.
No problem, man.
You have
It was
a good one.
pleasure. It was a pleasure.
See you guys on the next episode of Conversations Over Chess. Thank you.
Nothing ever comes to a sleeper but a dream. So I'm woke, try and get that money any means. Used to watch mom sweat them clothes to get them clean. Grew up in the slums, ain't shit that I ain't seen. And it's still free, all the guys till they free. Couple niggas crippin' and the others throwing bees. One thing for sure, they gon' all ride for me. Cause we ain't never phased, no gang family.
How you guys doing? Welcome back to Conversations Over Chess. Today, an individual that's sitting with me is an individual. God damn.
Took a couple L's, but we like to call those lessons. Coming from the burg, I was taught to pay attention. Cause those snakes out hissing and they'll sneak you in a second. For that I keep a circle that be tighter than a virgin. Couple niggas screaming, fuck the law, ready for purging. Tell them let the 40 touch a nigga like it's flirting. A lot of hidden hate, oh, y'all thought y'all was lurking. But ain't no time to lack, nah, I'm always observant. Grew up in the field, but I never played the corner. Still could jam a nigga if I don't like the rowdy running. I've been underground, running around like head tummy. Came from the bottom, I swear I started with nothing. So how can niggas hate? I swear to love it all be fake. Smiling in my face but wanna do me like I'm ace. That's why I say my grace before I put them on a plate. Cause I know I'm too important like a fucking uppercase. And life is like a race, it's just all about the pace. For a little money, dudes become a big disgrace. The fake come and go, but the real can't be replaced. They say the sky's the limit, only limit I embrace. And I'm about $1, no surprise I get the cake. Cause I was taught to hustle in any weather, cannot wait. I done had to starve just to make sure others ate. My pain versus your hurt is something that cannot relate. They try to lock the door, I kick that bitch like Kevin Gates. Couple roadblocks I ran through like I was freight. Heart of a lion, I was molded by the apes. That's why I stand talking, never fall, ain't no debate. I'm on a mission, I gotta get it. For all them long nights, the oven had to heat the kitchen. For all them starving nights, I went to sleep just to forget it. No food, but the sink was always full of dishes. Check the refrigerator, knowing nothing even in it. Nights like that can turn a young boy into a menace. Same reason I don't give a fuck about no feelings. Cause I'ma be starving till I count 100 million. Part of my back, nigga.